Beautiful, Artie. Thank you. Enjoy.
Ah, fuck.
Hey!
You said frig?
Wait a minute. I'd like to propose a toast to my family. Someday soon, you're gonna have families of your own. And if you're lucky, you remember the little moments. Like this. That were good. Cheers.
Hey, buddies, this is Good Times, and my name is Lee Syatt.
No, it's not.
No, my name's Steven. That's one of the best kind of little kid laughs there is.
And when you were little, like when I was little, because I had cousins who were probably around the age I am now. And
I'm still waiting. I have to get the laugh out. Okay.
I always thought they were the coolest, so I would always do stuff like that to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always, even if it's I don't think kids know what fake laughs are. So even when they get anything, it's like, oh, the cool guy think I'm funny.
Yeah. Dude, little Steven is in his very immature sense of humor phase. So he thinks I'm a genius.
What do you do?
It's a lot of like bathroom humor that he finds hilarious.
I don't think I've ever left that stage. I still find that funny.
Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for praying for little Steven and praying for William and Raul. Everybody seems to be doing better. So just keep that up. That's it. That's all I got.
That's great news.
Yeah, it's good. So that's it.
Health is very important, and it's great that you're going down there, and it's great that they're doing better.
Yeah, that's everything.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm so excited to have Christina on the podcast. It's such a good episode. Like I did her podcast, That's Deep, Bro. And I listened I remember when I first met you, you were already listening to Tom and Christina's podcast, Your Mom's House.
Oh yeah, that's still one of my favorite, like top two. The only two podcasts that I listen to that I'm not involved in are theirs and Ari's. That's really all I have time for now.
Yep, it's amazing, but it's such a good podcast, and they're such cool people.
And then she's about to be a mom, so that's pretty. Yes. That's pretty great for Good Times.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything more important. Yeah, the more I think about it, there's nothing more important. Like last night, I did a podcast with Jeremiah Watkins from the Comedy Store.
Oh, nice.
And it was interesting. He was such a great podcast. I can't wait to share that one with you guys. Like, this is what I'm kind of thinking. All right, see if this makes sense.
Okay.
All right. Ideally, I would like to get 2 guests in a row. Like, I loved when I had the Crab Feast guys.
Right.
And it was like Sickler and then Larson. And then I think then we did Christine Little. I think what would be a really cool kind of format would be if I had access to 2, I don't want to use the word famous, or 2 people that are going to bring listeners to the show in a row. Like Crab Feast guys, I don't know what those numbers were, but I'm sure they're going to keep on going up. And then I would like to do 2, if we could, like, I think this would be a good strategy to grow the podcast. You're the business guy. I'm not. But if we did 2 guests in a row, that'll bring listeners. Mm-hmm. And then the third guest, somebody really cool and interesting that I want to share with our listeners to more or less help them. Like, I think Christine Little's so funny. So I'm glad we got to share them. And then like Jeremiah, he's such a young guy that a lot of people don't know who he is yet, but he's hilarious. So it's like last week we had Harloff. He's bringing listeners. That schmo's no empire he's built.
Right, yeah.
And then Christina will bring listeners. And then boom, next week, Jeremiah. And then I think like Craig Gass wants to do it. Eric Griffin said he would do it. Like if I could sort of follow that pattern, I think that might be good.
It makes sense. It's
if we can keep it up, right?
Right. If you can keep it up,
Yeah,
and
'cause
then
that'll be tough.
And it is nice when you can have people who have their own base, like their own listenership, that will come and listen. But it's also like there's no way I would have found out about you without podcasts.
Yeah, that's what makes it so cool.
So even if you don't know them yet, that's some of the best podcasts is when you have no expectations, you're just listening to it, which is why it always it confuses me that a lot of listeners will listen to podcasts based on the guest. Like, it's always interesting looking at the numbers.
Yeah, it's weird.
And then you're like, oh, well, this one was bigger, so maybe it's their listeners. But then some people just look, because I get it. People are busy too.
Yes. I like to think, like, just make it cool.
Right.
Just have an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I want to do. With no agenda, really. But it's interesting that some people just book their podcast like it was a bad late night show. Like anybody with fame, and then they have a very surface level stinky. Like, I don't want that. I want to get interesting and cool and really get to know somebody. And I think that works best when I don't have an agenda.
Right.
But I think, because I tried it last night with Jeremiah, and I think it's something I want to do in the future.
Okay.
My manager was like, it would be interesting maybe if you asked people just one question. And for every guest, and just see and she was like, if you were to do that, what question do you think? So I don't know how, I asked him because we had a really cool talk.
Okay.
Then out of everybody in his life, if he had to pick one person, who had the biggest impact on his life, positive or negative? Is it a family member? Is it a mentor? Is it a hero?
That's a great question.
And I think, because like I thought about it for me, and I'm like, you know what? Out of everybody, I would have to say my younger brother.
Really?
I really would. And like it's reflected in my stand up too. Like there's a lot of material about him because we just we spent so much time together during those formative years, and then he's just such a positive role model now. Like he's a dad, he's a businessman, he's a husband, all the things I would love to be at some point.
That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah. Who would it be for you?
I have no idea. I was trying to think about it, and then also like now that I'm thinking about it, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings either.
So you'd have to answer it very tactfully. But okay, think about that. Well, I mentioned
we'll do it in the out. So you think it's your brother?
Yeah.
Comedically or personally?
No,
as well?
no. I mean personally.
Wow.
I mean personal. Like if one person that's had the biggest impact.
I would have to.
Here, think about it, and we'll get some sponsors out of the way.
Yeah, do it, and I'll think about it.
The unofficial sponsor, Don Carlos Taco Shop. Ask for Ryan. He's located on Pearl Street in La Jolla, California. Eataburrito.com is his website, and it's so delicious. I'm going to be down there, I think, in 2 weeks on the 29th. And then I'd like to do a podcast with Ryan. And then I recorded a podcast with Mike Pye, the guy that owns freakware.com. But what I'm thinking about is now that we've been building up his brand a little bit here on Good Times, maybe have him come in and do a live one.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And then you get to meet him too, because he's so cool.
Oh, okay, I would love to meet him. He sounds nice.
Yeah, he's super nice, but he's like a strong bodybuilder guy that could snap our necks if he wanted to, if he wasn't nice.
He could be our bodyguards?
Yes. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and his website's super cool. And I've noticed like on Instagram, like I'm getting like more like fitness people following me and stuff, and I think it's because of we're mentioning freakware on the podcast.
I think it's because you're looking real buff these days.
Yeah. I can't even say that. I can't even hear you say that and not giggle.
You're looking good, though.
I am doing more cardio.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the diet Mike recommended, but it's tough. This no carbs thing sucks. And you know what, man? I started thinking about this. Number one, Freakware, FREKWARE.com. Super cool. It's not just, it's more of a lifestyle company. It's like, hey, man, just be you and help the world in the process. Don't be a fraidy cat. That's kind of like the vibe I'm getting from it. Like, wear the shirt, dude. Be a freak. Go do your thing. You do you. Yeah. And the rest will take care of itself. It's interesting.
It's a great
cool.
message.
Yeah, it is really, really cool. And I think it's just cool whenever companies get involved in sponsoring. It makes me feel more like a real, like when I did Ari's show last week, I felt like I was in show business. And then like now my buddy Mac down in Florida, he's got this whole proposal for doing a coloring book, but it's going to cost a lot of money. Like it's going to be like $7,000 just in artwork. So like my fear is that even if we go to the effort of putting together a whole GoFundMe campaign or whatever crowdsource funding stuff,
Kickstarter,
whatever it is, that we're not going to raise enough money. I don't want him and his buddies to do any more work on this project until they start getting paid. I have a problem with that. So he sent over a proposal where he's like, hey, these are all the, like, it could be from, because he wants to do the Chinese food bit as a coloring book.
Right.
And it was like, maybe if you give $5, you get crayons, all the way up to like $1,000, and you get drawn in the comic, you get drawn in the book, and we go out for Chinese food together. That would be super cool.
And you could bring the book to color with at the restaurant.
Like stuff like that would be so fun. But I don't know, like I might need to do crowdfunding for a special, or I don't want to burn people out.
Right.
And I got to be honest, it's not like all these people are like, yeah, I'll buy a coloring book. I'm like, well, you didn't really buy a CD. So how am I going to think that you're going to buy a coloring book too? Like, I'm going to be honest, I didn't sell that many CDs. And it's like, we have the Amazon link on awesomesteve.com. Nobody's used it yet.
So go to Awesome. Where is it on awesomesteve.com?
It's right on as soon as you get through the video.
Okay. So yeah, go, because people use them for all the podcasts, and I use it. So if you're listening to this, please go to awesomesteve.com and use the Amazon link. It really, because Christmas is coming up.
Yeah.
Hanukkah is coming up.
Yeah, and especially if you could use business expenses, so it's not even your money. That'd be great.
The best. It's like getting airline miles when you're not spending the money.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I just need to keep this going, and I need support. Right. And I don't want anybody. If anybody's going to work for free, it's going to be me, and I get that because I think I'm building a connection with all you guys that listen, and it's going to eventually help my comedy career as soon as my agent starts getting me booked more. Like, whenever I get out on the road, it's wonderful to have friends.
Right.
So if this podcast is just my way of making friends, cool. But I don't want you working for free. I don't want Bryce and the website working for free. And I don't want Mac and his crew doing any more illustrations. Like, I'm going to have them do a new cover for my CD.
Okay.
But I'm going to pay them for it.
Right.
And then I'm going to get 1,000 CDs printed up, and then people can buy them on awesomesteve.com with a different cover, and it'll be cool.
That'll be great.
Same old CD, but a different, and then that way I can sell them on the road.
A collector's edition, yeah.
Yeah. And then that's it. But it's like, I don't want to have to like raise $10,000 for a stupid book that, what if we only wind up raising $3,000?
Well, the cool thing about Kickstarter is if you don't reach your goal, no one's money gets taken.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
So yeah, it's just if you reach your goal, then it goes. But if it doesn't, then it just nothing happens.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you could at least test the waters.
All right, this is a phone call to Mac, but it's like I'm so busy. I have like a leukemia event this weekend. I got to get down to the hospital. I got to go meet people. It's like I need to listen to more episodes of Good Times just to relax and chill because I don't have any time.
Right.
Like, because now I'm getting back into my script. Last night I was driving. This is how God works and how awesome life is. I was driving over the hill to go to the Comedy Store to record another podcast. And I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I need a day off.
Right, yeah.
So then I'm driving over the hill. And as soon as I get down to Sunset and Laurel, I see my buddy that's homeless that hangs out at the Comedy Store. And he has one of those signs. And I'm like, don't even look over there. And then he walks over to the car. He's like, hey, Steve, how's it going, buddy? And I was like, I want to be in a bad mood. You're taking away my bad mood. So then I talked to him and I gave him money. And then I was like, do you need a ride to the Comedy Store? He's like, nah, I got a couple more hours of work, but then I'll be down there after. I'm like, all right, God, you proved your point.
Yeah.
That sometimes when you're in a stinky mood, the only thing you have to do is make time for somebody else. And then your stinky mood goes away.
That's so interesting. Make time for somebody else.
Yeah. I've noticed it. But it's a delicate balance because you also need to recharge yourself.
Yeah.
But then sometimes, like, I was like, I got to recharge myself. And then I saw my buddy, and that made me happier than recharging.
Right. And then also, like, do you ever feel guilty about recharging? Because it's not like you're going into an office for 8 hours a day. So
no.
You're not constantly... You're not at work all the time, but you're constantly making calls or writing.
I think it's a little more difficult. Look, they all have their pros and cons, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But it never seems like we ever clock out, which is not a good thing.
No.
Right? Because it's like midnight on a Monday, and I'm finishing up a podcast, and then people, it's not good. But It is what it is.
It's fun.
It's fun. And I don't know what I would do without comedy, because I love you guys for listening and all the emails you guys send, and then all the positive reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Thank you guys so much.
That question that you asked me is really
We'll come back to it after this. Why don't we have
let's do it in the outro? Yeah,
let's do it in the outro. We'll have Christina Pazsitzky. She's one of my favorite people ever. I'm so happy to finally get her on this podcast.
Where are you going to be, though? You have dates coming up, don't you?
October 29th, I'm in San Diego. The Montana stuff got canceled.
Minnesota
at the end of November at the House of Comedy. New York for the Comedy Festival with Gabriel. We're playing the Beacon Theater. It's going to be sick, dude. On the 12th, I think. And then bring me to your Christmas party. Go to awesomesteve.com to book me. That would be awesome. Yes. Somebody out there, I want to do your corporate Christmas party. That would be the best. And I'll bring candy canes. You guys can find Christina on Twitter at Christina P. I hope you guys enjoy this episode as much as I did. All right. Bye.
We had an easy ride and always felt the same. Time was on our side. We had everything to gain.
Check. I think it's working.
Meow, 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 meow.
Yep. So you want to do an episode on humility?
Well, I was thinking just because of this generation, it's not cool to be humble or to be self-aware. It's like
Everybody wants to be a rapper.
a rapper or a
like
Kardashian.
Kanye West. Yeah, it's that yuck society, I call it.
It's so gross. Yeah.
It's so yucky. It's so sad. It's like so filled with pride and misery. Like those people
Yeah.
are all miserable, by the
Miserable.
way. And completely filled with fear.
Well, if you want to see what true suffering is, go to Instagram and look at like a Kardashian's account.
it's so sad.
If you want to see what self-loathing is.
Did I ever tell you what my theory on all that was?
No, please
Oh,
tell
it's
me.
terrible. And I wanted to say this on stage, but I can't work up a connection with an audience. I have an idea for a show that I really want to do, a stand-up show.
Okay.
Where you come in with material that just doesn't fit your voice or your point of view. Because I have some really mean stuff I want to say on stage, but I can't make it work in my set. And I'm sure like somebody like Louis C.K.'s got the sweetest stuff or Bill Burr, and they're like I can't. How
cutesy.
can I talk about ice cream when I'm in the middle of
So
saying why
funny.
everything's wrong?
So funny.
But my theory is this.
Yeah.
Robert, and I shouldn't say this, and I kind of, see, this is why I couldn't do it on stage. Essentially, here's the premise. I don't know. I really hope this isn't true, but I think maybe Robert Kardashian's in hell. And it's his children's lives playing out in front of him. That is his hell.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Like he's got a front row seat, like where Satan's like, sit down, your daughter's going to be famous.
Satan.
Which one? Is it Kimmy?
it's all
What's she famous for? Well, she makes a video. Oh, what kind of video? A music video? Kinda. There's some kind of. Well, what does she do? Oh, sweet baby Jesus. And then he's like, I have to make sure nobody's daughter winds up like this. No. Every daughter, because of your daughter, winds up like this.
Right, or aspires to be.
Yeah,
That's
it's
hilarious, Steve. You have to do that.
Yeah, but I can't make it work because it's a little.
It's not your lane.
I want to remind people. I have to find the light myself and then share that with the world.
Yeah.
Because if I just wanted to walk out on stage and poop on things, I could do that all day long.
That's what I like to do. Just like poop,
It's cathartic sometimes,
poop
though,
on
right?
stuff. Yeah, and especially when a woman does it, I feel like it's not like. It's even more subversive when a woman has an opinion, which is why I like to have them more.
I think, yes.
Yeah.
It's so true.
And it's so dumb. Like, why is it such a big deal if a woman just has an opinion? But
It's
people
so
really
sad.
blows their minds.
It's so. As far as people think women's issues have progressed, I think they've actually gotten worse.
It's regressive.
It's regressed, right?
It's and even if you look at the comedy landscape, if you
So
look
sad.
at what sells right now,
Oh, I have no idea. I shouldn't say this, but it's like they took Dice's persona from '88 and just feminized it. You're like,
You
you don't
mean
think I
like-
gobble cum? I gobble
Right.
cum. All of it. And I'm
Right,
like,
exactly.
this is so sad. It's hacky
Exactly.
and it's sad, and everybo's kissing their asses.
I agree. It's
That's why I'm
like-
so happy you're in the comedy game.
Oh,
Loved your
thank
story
you.
the other night on the
thanks.
Ari thing.
Are you gonna put this on? Is this part going up?
Whatever you
the
want. We don't have.
podcast?
We're 3 minutes in. We haven't said anything bad.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I felt weird. That storytelling show felt weird, and then my husband was like, "You're supposed to feel weird. It's a storytelling show, not stand up." I was like, "Oh yeah," but my ego's used to.
That's why, you know what? I did 3 minutes
Yeah.
of stand up front. And then I was like,
Yeah.
okay, now I'm going to sit down and tell a story because I needed to hear the laughs
gratification.
to know I was still capable. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, Okay, brace yourself.
Yeah.
Because they're not, it's going to be a different thing.
It's a different, and they're a little judgy, whatever. So, but I was going to say that the landscape is so regressive because if you look at somebody like a Roseanne Barr,
yeah.
who was fat, unfuckable,
Yeah.
loud-mouthed,
Yep.
and
Hysterical.
and middle class or lower
Yes.
middle class,
Yep.
would never exist. It's very hard to sell that today, and I think it's because
average
of
human.
the average human, and it's the lad mag culture. It's that all women should want to fuck. We should be fuckable and agreeable, and like you said, like I just love sucking cock. It's patriarchal. It's very
and
patriarchal.
it's so
It's scary. It's actually scary.
yeah, because there's no respect for women either.
Of course not.
It's like even like look, I wasn't around 50 years ago, but I listened to the music, you know, and if that's any indication, there were like old school gender roles, but there seems like even with that, there was a respect attached to it. That's gone.
Now it's suck my dick, bitch.
Yeah,
lick
it's
my nuts, and the girls are dancing to it in the clubs. Like, yes,
embracing it.
Bitch. Yeah,
like somewhere along the line, I don't know how this was embraced as feminism.
yeah,
But it's like you're my pleasure bot.
right.
That's all it is.
right.
And definitely don't have an opinion. Definitely, I don't know how. Like, I like to think of myself as a feminist. Meaning, if my daughter grew up and she was like, "Hey, Dad, I want to be a surgeon," I'd be like, "Yes."
Of
I want to
course.
jump out of planes. Yes. Or if she was like, "You know what? I want to go teach preschool," I'd be like, "Whatever you want to
Great.
do,
Do something.
do something."
Yeah.
But now it just seems like
It seems like being hot is the priority in the culture. You got to be hot, like I said, agreeable. Yeah, it's terrifying because I grew up in the 90s and the 80s where we had these subversive role models. I had Janine Garofalo. How lucky
Yeah.
was I?
yeah.
I had Shirley Manson from Garbage. Like how lucky was
Yeah, what
I?
happened to that? There was
They're
a really
here.
cool. Yeah, that sort of movement sort of just disappeared.
the answer to the fembot, so to speak.
Yeah.
Highly sexualized.
How did we step back?
I think what happened is women's lib got confused with sexual liberation, right? So the whole idea of like calling us sluts, if we call ourselves sluts and own sexuality, somehow that makes it more feminized, feminist. But I still don't understand the logic because we're just doing what you guys want us to do now, and now you don't have to treat us like
A human.
humans. Yeah.
It's so confusing for a single guy.
Oh
I'm
my- I
like,
can
this is
only
the
imagine.
source of all the negative stuff in my life. I'm like, wait a second. The second I feel like I start to care is the second they're like, ugh. There's such a lack of love in society.
Right, the second you turn into a person, you mean? And
Yes.
you're like, I'd like to have a person.
Yeah, like as soon as I start
relationship.
returning your phone calls and you get a sense that I
that,
care,
yeah.
they're like, ugh, forget it.
And how does dating? Because like when I started dating my husband Tom, it was literally around Friendster,
That's
MySpace.
hysterical.
I never knew Grinder or Grinder's for gay dudes. I mean, what's that one?
Tinder? Yeah, I don't do any of that stuff because I'm like, if I meet a chick on one of those websites, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I already know too much. You know what I mean? It's like if I ever make money, I'm not going to buy a nice car because I don't want a girl to be like, that's what. It's sad, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh god,
Where are we
social
going?
media's ruined dating too. I'm like, oh, she seems like a nice girl, and then I'm like, oh, poolside at the Venetian, giving the finger to the camera. I'm like, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Too many Vegas pictures, too many nightclub pictures.
Or just-
trash,
or
trash,
just
trash.
Too many selfies. Too much duck.
Oh,
This thing.
Selfies is the saddest thing
It's
ever.
it's the saddest.
It's so sad. Too many hashtags. The more girl hashtag something. Well, you know what the saddest thing? Oh God,
yeah.
when chicks are like, set life, went in for a killer audition. I'm like, do you think Robert De Niro is like, take a picture in front of me in craft services? I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know I'm
You gotta
here.
know I'm a star.
Oh, it's so sad.
Yeah.
It's generation. It's like second, third generation. No hugs, no love, no nothing positive.
Or I think it might be the opposite. I think it's us, our generation, feeling deprived because we were latchkey kids
Yeah,
and
that's
our
what I'm saying.
parents, and now we give too much approval,
Oh,
too much
interesting.
love, too much adoration. It's validate everything I tweet, star it, favorite, like me. YouTube, make comments, tell me how great I am.
Well, this is what
immediate
I agree. This is what I
ego
think.
Shit,
the
man.
way we've replaced attention We've replaced love with attention.
Yes.
That's all it is. People
Ooh,
just
that's
want
what it
attention.
is.
They don't want love because love comes with responsibility and
Interesting.
and heartache
And
and
attachment.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be vulnerable. People are too fearful. So they're just like, give me the attention,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Well, and plus vulnerability leads to punishment, at least in social media.
Oh, in life.
Well,
Love.
in life.
Like
yeah.
when you get vulnerable, like I realized the mistake I had made throughout a lot of my life was I was like, I wanted to love somebody but still trying to protect myself. And I'm like, you can't do that.
That's the price you pay for admission
Yeah.
to love. You have to be vulnerable. Yeah.
Like I have no idea. Like you're preparing for a little guy to show up.
Oh my God. I know.
That scares me. Like I'm not even dating a girl but I'm like, first day of school, man. I don't know how I'm gonna handle it. I'm gonna be crying. I'm gonna be crying more than my kid. Like, have a great day, buddy. I'll be waiting for you.
Aww.
The worst.
You know what, though? It took me many years to get vulnerable with my husband. It took many years of therapy to be able to get there. Because as comics, we're so sensitive.
So sensitive.
But at the same time, we deflect that sensitivity.
Yeah, you don't want anybody to know it.
Yeah, so it's like...
It's hysterical.
It's the worst.
What's wrong? Like, that's why I'm like, I just own everything now. I'm just like, hey, man, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm trying my best.
Yeah,
That's
all you can hope for. You know what I was thinking, too, the vulnerability thing in social media culture is that people are shamed so much now.
Mm-hmm.
There's the outrage mob that'll get on you, and it's really dangerous and it's really scary for comedy. Like after my Ari's show we taped a few days ago, I looked on my Twitter feed and it was a lot of complimentary, and then one guy like, I found your story to be racially insensitive and offensive, and then he like tagged Comedy Central on it to penalize me, right?
God.
Right. And it's like, wait a minute. What part of my story was insensitive? The part where I was bullied and beaten?
Yeah.
Because I was in my story. Or the fact that I had the wherewithal to joke about it 20 years later. And was it about me and a black girl? Yeah. But fucking so what?
People, it's so crazy how people tense up the second race gets mentioned.
The buzzwords.
Yes. It's like, hey, man, you're robbing that person of their humanity if you don't see them as a person.
That's right.
If you just see them as like, hey, we have to treat that person that's different from me has to be perfect. It's like, number one, you've never... It's such a sheltered point of view.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man, we're all human beings. Nobody's perfect. And there's a certain perfection to that.
Of course.
Does that make sense?
Of course.
As soon as you get to know somebody in spite of their flaws and perfections, then you're like, oh, I can never get mad at you.
Of course, but
I understand why you're an asshole.
The culture of penalizing people for even
awful.
speaking their minds now on Twitter, people lose jobs now.
It's awful.
Because the outrage mob is, look at poor Renazizi, who
Awful.
I fucking love.
Sweetest guy in the world.
And he's fantastic. And because
Most
of one stupid
generous
mistake,
person I've ever met.
of course, and one thing, and he gets, money pulled. He's got kids to take care of.
It's such a judgmental society.
And for nothing.
Blame,
and not really
for nothing.
And not really judging the relevant parts.
No. That's thrown
That's
out.
the thing,
It's like
yeah.
everybody's an asshole, and they love pointing out how much of an asshole everybody else is.
But over the wrong bits.
Oh, over
like,
the right.
Like why? Well, you should be on Bill Cosby. Like that guy's house should be burned to the ground
Yeah.
right now.
What about Woody Allen? Like, how does that guy get a pass? He rapes
Yeah.
his own kids, and we're
Yeah.
going to give him a Lifetime Achievement
Or
Award?
that asshole Roman Polanski.
Oh, my God, what a creep.
Yeah, but show business gives him a high five and lets him back in the
Oh,
country.
my
and make
God,
more
what's wrong
movies.
with the world?
I don't know, Steve. We need to run things.
Wait, please. You know what I wrote? We do need normal people. Kick out all the politicians and just like grandmothers. I don't think anybody should be allowed to hold office unless you're at least 65 and a mom. That's
hey,
it.
I like that.
Everything will get solved.
Or 65. I think there's something in the age. I think you're right.
Yeah. You have to go through life, feel it, understand what's going on, and be like unconditional love.
Yeah.
All right,
We're fired up today. It's the heat. I think we're both cranky and fired up.
It's the best. Well, we started to talk about your podcast, That's Deep, Bro.
Yeah, yes.
And that's what got into it.
Yeah.
And then we talked about your story. All right, this is what I remember. When I was on your podcast, you started to tell me a story about seeing Chunk from the Goonies. And inadvertently, I wore my Goonies t-shirt, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know.
Subconsciously weird is that?
Yeah, it's the best. Because, okay, this podcast, I like when things get deep, but I also like just celebrating simple, fun stuff. And you grew up, and you were saying this the other day. I'm like, oh, save it for the podcast.
Yeah.
You grew up in a time frame where it was the California that I fell in love with as a kid in suburban Philadelphia. Like, I remember I ordered my first skateboard from Val Surf right in the valley.
Oh, yeah,
it was
dude.
a pink Tony Hawk skateboard. And I was like, California is the coolest place in the world.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in Cal? Was it like Fast Times at Ridgemont High? What was it like?
Can I tell you? It kind of was. I mean, even though that movie's older than me, they were the teenagers and I was the kid. And that mall that it was filmed in, I hung out at that mall.
No
Yes!
way. You hung out at the
Yes!
mall where Mark Ratner, was there really a movie theater there and a Perry's Pizza?
I remember it. It's exactly set up that way. There's hot dog on a stick, but then it all changed later.
Yeah, that's where I walked to that mall, where that mall used to be now.
Northridge, now it's different. It's really different. But I got to grow up in that mall, and I got to kind of live that Valley Girl. And the time Valley Girl was really popular.
Biggest thing, Moon Zappa. I remember it was like, gag me with a spoon.
That was huge. Yeah, it was rad.
You could start selling those shirts again and kill it. Just gag me with a spoon.
And it was the culture of Venice Beach was really different. It was back when it was. Do you remember that movie Fletch?
Yes.
And there's that guy, and he's on roller skates, and he's playing an electric guitar, and it's got swirls on it. That guy's real. You know?
Yeah,
that
I've seen that guy. It's the second time that guy's been referenced in the past week. Because I was in Arizona last week, and this guy told me he went to college in Arizona, and that guy was on campus then before he moved to Venice.
Whoa. Well, see, because that guy, I grew up watching like crazy people like that guy. Venice used to be just girls in dolphin shorts and weightlifters at Muscle Beach, people juggling chainsaws, freak acts, and it was
the
really, it was like a cool parade of lunacy and breakdancers. The breakdancers were awesome, and the skateboarders, like skaters, were everywhere.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a neat time.
You know what I just realized from that anecdote? People had to earn their attention then. It was like, you want attention? Breakdance, bro. Do the windmill. Spin on your head.
That's right.
Fly out of this concrete bowl on your skateboard and not snap your neck.
Well, dude, and how hard was breakdancing? Like,
it was the ticket to cool I was like in elementary school.
It was the best.
And we had nobody to breakdance for, so we would breakdance for my grandmother. She lived with us.
Did she even get
and she would just clap her hands and go, very good. And my big brother would have a stop motion light set up, and it was jam on it, jam on it. My little brother would come out with like a Karate Kid headband and do the robot for my grandmother.
What was your move? What could you do?
I used to try to do the backspin and then
That's good.
the worm or centipede.
And you could do it?
Yeah, I could do that. And I would do that, like, I remember the first middle school dance I did that, and I was like, who's cool? This guy.
Did you like, you know how in all the 80s dance movies they would like clear a circle so that
that happened. Yes.
It happened for you?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was a complete moron though. Everybody was Chris Farley was the first person I've ever heard use this expression where he imitated the nuns talking to his mom, and Farley said, Mrs. Farley, the children aren't laughing with Christopher. They're laughing at Christopher. And I think I kind of had that as a kid. Like, I needed the attention. Yeah. I thought I wanted to be Chunk from Goonies.
He was rad.
Yeah, like I was a fat kid that would wear Hawaiian shirts and like parachute pants. I was trying so hard to be cool.
Well, Chunk, he lived in the San Fernando Valley. So I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. And at the time, so many stars lived there. It was a place where it was glamorous. It wasn't what it is now. I think now it's a bit worn down maybe in places, but
yeah.
Celebrities. Like, I would go to a seafood restaurant and I saw Gallagher when I was like 9. Yeah, and I lost my mind. And you would go to Coco's. I went to Coco's with my mom, and we saw Chunk.
Wow.
And all these other kids were there, and they were like, do the truffle shuffle. Do the truffle. And he did it. He went around the corner and he did the truffle shuffle, and like Coco's lit up. Like, oh my God, Chuck just did a truffle shuffle.
That's amazing.
And like Fred Savage was at my grad night. Like,
no way. Kevin Arnold was at your grad night? How? How is that even possible?
He was at a different school, but like we saw him in line. Like he was in the line next to us. But like, oh, you know who's my favorite sighting, dude? There's used to be this place called Skateland where you roller skated, and like.
I can't believe I've been doing this podcast for a year and a half and nobody's mentioned roller skating. Not even Brett Ernst.
Well, that's his story. That's his jam.
He didn't even do the Tony story.
Well, yeah, there was this dope place called Skateland, and that's where you had your first kiss, your first cigarette.
You should write a movie about Skateland.
I know, right?
Could you imagine? That's what
I
you should do.
know.
Like, be like the John Hughes for New Jersey. That would be an amazing. I already love.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down right now.
Yeah, write that down.
Skateland.
Because the way you just described it, first cigarette, first kiss, first everything.
Yeah, it was the coolest, and you felt so cool because there was a DJ, and you like roll up to him, and you're all, dude, can you play what's that Lisa Cult Jam song? And then you'd skate back,
Oh my
couple
God,
skates.
the DJ trying to get the DJ's attention was
Yes.
like one as a 12-year-old. I was
Yes.
like, can you play the curl? I love the Three Stooges, and I'd be like, play the curly shuffle and see what happens. I'm gonna get this party started, and I would do the curly shuffle from the Three Stooges.
Wow.
I was a moron.
God, the DJ.
DJ was the coolest
person.
Isn't
yeah.
it funny that when you become a grown up, all the people they thought were cool, you realize are losers? You're like, oh God.
Or like wanting a limousine. Like,
Oh.
remember wanting
There
a
was
limo?
nothing in the 80s. There was nothing more, dude.
Cooler.
Limo, bar in the back, like so great. A limo was the coolest.
But now you're like, it's so whack. Like
Oh.
to ride a limo's the worst. It's all dirty. There's always barf.
Oh
smells
yeah, like
and
you're at some Midwest comedy club. I'm gonna sit in
Yeah.
a limo to pick you up, and you're like, please don't.
please don't. It's
Please, the
embarrassing.
Civic's fine. Just
Yeah,
have the bar back pick me up, man.
I know, like Kansas City. I know. And you're like, I don't need the laser
With
light
the chaser,
show.
yeah, the lights, the lights. Oh my
Please.
God.
Please. But dude, so you know who we used to see? It was kind of messed up. Was that kid from Different Strokes? Sam. Remember that red-haired boy?
God. Okay.
But we were fucked up to him. Like people would throw fries at him and stuff because they were jealous. I think that's kind of whack. But it was kind of fun to see him. We'd be
Okay.
like,
So
"Oh,
first
Sam."
off, Different Strokes reference, perfect.
Huge. TV,
Nothing.
TV was my life.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah, I remember when I was 9, I saved up enough money to buy my own TV, and I was like, finally. And then today, I just wrote a note to myself because I don't know if you guys ever had thunderstorms or anything here, but
Every now and
back
then.
east, especially then, your cable could go out, your TV could go out, and I'd be like, no. Or if there was a presidential debate, I'm like, why is it on this channel? It's on this channel. No. What happened to my glorious TV?
What was your favorite show?
Different Strokes during that time was when Mr.
best.
T was on
Oh,
Different
dude.
Strokes. It's probably as good as it got. And then Sam being that's such a great cliche. Let's introduce a young character to pump
Yeah.
new life. And that kid got fries thrown at him
Yeah.
at the skating rink.
At Skateland. It's kind of whack. But again, it was jealousy in retrospect. People were like, you think you're better than us because you're on Different Strokes. And he wasn't mean at all. I felt so bad.
Poor kid.
I know.
You think you're better? That was one of the funniest characters Adam Sandler ever did. I forget what it was. Just a guy on Saturday Night Live that would just get into a conversation. And go, "You think you're better than me?"
It's so ridiculous to say
It's so
to somebody.
sad. Everybody's so sad on the inside. It's like, how can I really think? Forrest Gump ran across the country. I think I'm just going to go and hug everybody until it's okay. Like everybody has that
know.
anger, that feeling of like, I'm not good enough for this. So how am I going to? That's why nobody wants to get vulnerable. That's why everybody's angry. That's why poor Sam. It's like, hey guys, I'm on TV. It's good. What could go wrong? We're gonna get Mom. Drop me and the guys off. I'm gonna go meet my fans at the skate.
Everybody hates me. And the thing is like, how does that? But some people we didn't. Like Chunk adored. Everybody loved Chunk.
The coolest person ever.
Saw him at Coco's. He had a wacky hat on. Like he was a dream. He was so cute too. He's a lawyer now.
Yeah, it's
Went to
amazing.
Berkeley
me.
or something.
Yeah, he was like student class president at Berkeley.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Yeah, I would like to meet him and figure out what went okay. Like you hear so many sad stories about kids that were actors.
Yeah, for sure.
And how they just crash and burn. But he didn't. Like he's like a real professional with a real
I
life.
think it might be one of those things where you luck out on one super role and maybe he couldn't luck out. Like that role was so
Perfect.
cartoony but it was such a caricature-y cartoon role.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you cast Chunk in something? Maybe he couldn't get work again. Who knows?
Yeah.
A lot of those kids, like Data. What happened to Data?
This movie was so good.
Can I tell you my favorite movie?
Yes, please.
There's quite a few. It's like summer movies were the best in the Valley because you had to go to the movie theater to cool off.
Okay. Summer movies,
yes, go ahead.
Valley. How old are you when you start going to the movie theater by yourself? How are you getting there? What are some of the
Sure.
first movies you remember?
By yourself? By myself? 12. You go there to smoke cigarettes, meet your
Yeah,
friends.
be cool.
Be cool. Be seen.
Yeah.
Junior
Be seen.
high.
I forgot that.
Yeah, like the mall.
Oh
the
my
mall is the same
God.
story. You just went there to like strut your shit, right? Like wear your cool jeans and
See kids from other schools. Oh my God, that girl's wearing a Pencrest Field hockey jacket. She's so hot. The girls there are so much hotter than the girls at our school.
Do you remember Alyssa Milano? Like,
Do I?
Who didn't want to be Alyssa Milano? Or,
The hottest chick ever. The most embarrassing story I have about Alyssa Milano. This is a true story.
okay.
After college, I moved back in with my parents because obviously I'm not the type of guy that's going to get his life together. You know what I mean? So I remember this was back when Blockbuster Video was still a thing.
Hated that fucking place.
My dad loved that place, and he would always come home with a bag of movies with a sense of pride and joy, like a Papa Bear coming home with a kill. Like, this is what I have to provide for my family.
Right.
Okay. And he'd come in with the bag, and he'd have everybody gather around like he was a bad magician. Like, he would go into the bag. Okay, first off, I got a picture we can all enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen.
Picture.
Yeah. There's old-timey words are funnier, and he used them. I got a picture we can all enjoy. It's supposed to be a 4-star film. A little something called Dumb and Dumber. And right? And then he'd be like, I got a picture that me and your mother are going to enjoy. It's a woman's picture. I don't think you guys. And then I remember once, so he's going through his bag and he pulls out like 3 movies. And he looks at me and he goes, hey, buddy. I can't believe. Oh, it's so painful. He's like, hey, buddy. Here's a little something I figured you might enjoy. You know, when me and your mom go upstairs. I got Alyssa Milano. And it was like Poison Ivy, too.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just like, here you go, buddy. Enjoy it. And I was like, I'm going to go jump into a wood chipper.
Mortifying. And PI2 was not as good as PI1, let's be honest.
I just remember Alyssa Milano.
Travesty.
One of the first jokes I ever wrote was about Alyssa Milano.
Really?
Yeah. How Tony Danza had to be hitting on her.
You think?
Well, that was like my crazy, like, before I got more personal comedy, it was like Bad Morning Radio. Like, don't you think Tony Danza was like, Samantha, when am I going to, and then I would get filthy because like I was so dirty on stage when I got started.
Alyssa Milano. Ooh, my baby just kicked my cervix. She was the gold standard. Her and that girl from Charles in Charge.
Nicole Eggert.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
They were the 1-2 of hotness
Yeah.
in the 90s. That's as hot as you could be. Those two.
Yeah, I wanted to be those two. It was like, oh my gosh. But hold on. The movie that kind of changed my life. Let's talk about it. I thought it was probably the funniest, most creative movie. There's a lot of those in the 80s. Gremlins.
Amazing. Yeah.
Even Gremlins 2, not so bad.
Hulk Hogan in the movie theater. Gremlins was so okay. I really thought Gremlins was real.
So did I. I wanted a Mogwai.
Yes. Like, I was like, I remember there would be like, before the internet, I used to do a joke about this. Before the internet, you just had to like pick up your knowledge on the streets.
Yes.
And I remember like my little brother's like, no, seriously? Anthony Scotto's got an uncle in Japan. He's connected. He was at a party once where the Magwai turned into a gremlin. And like, we'd really, those stupid little kid things where you're like, yeah, why isn't there gremlins? Of course they're real.
Yeah, of course. Somebody had
That
a
was
gremlin.
so cool.
Absolutely.
We were spoiled. The movies, I feel bad for kids now. I
Oh,
do.
it sucks now.
It sucks. And I'm sorry. I know it. Like, people are like, no, they have. I'm like, what do they have? They have all the stuff we had. We had Star Wars. We had Raiders of the Lost Ark. We had Gremlins. We had Goonies. We had Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
The best stuff ever.
Fuck, so funny, dude. I used to watch those movies on a loop. Once we
too.
got cable TV, I could
That memorized them.
Yeah, I know all of Ghostbusters.
I can't quote Shakespeare, but I can quote Peter Venkman. Yes,
Peter
this
Venkman.
is true. This man has no dick.
Pete. Oh, yeah, no dick.
Oh, I was like, funniest thing ever.
My favorite is symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia case of 1865. You're right, Ray. No human being could stack books like this. I don't know why I love it.
So great.
So good. Spies Like Us.
Oh,
What about
Doctor?
Doctor?
So
Doctor.
good.
I just did that joke to somebody.
I just did that yesterday.
Shut up.
Honestly. Yes.
I didn't get it though. They were like,
Yep.
"What's that?" I'm like, "You're
I
a
was
fucking
like,
loser."
Yeah, you don't get it.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Flawless.
Flawless.
There's not a point where I won't cry. This is how I know if I still have my soul. If I see the end of Revenge of the Nerds and it doesn't make me go, I'm just thinking about it. Kicked. Oh my God! Right when Louis Skolnick grabs the mic.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so great, and I love when his fraternity brothers have his back.
Yeah.
Bow, 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 bow. Leave the kid alone. Bernie Casey or whoever it was. It's so good.
It's so good. I love their rap. Clap your hands, everybody.
And everybody clap your hands. Oh, it's so good.
Lamar Lorette, yeah. Or Lorette Lamar.
The electric violin.
Electric- yeah.
And now comes
Booger
Alanda, 3 feet tall. Break.
And I think Booger
Dudley
was-
Dawson.
Can I tell you, of as many celebrities I've seen in LA, I saw Booger at Gelson's about
Did your
10
heart
years
stop?
ago. I fucking lost my mind.
Yeah, it's amazing how I remember seeing Willie Ames once drive by in a late model BMW, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, that was as cool as it got.
Well, Booger was so funny. Okay, for instance, there's that wonderful belching.
Why do they call you
contest.
Booger? And he's like, I don't know. His finger, it's perfect
His
timing.
timing,
Perfect timing.
perfect face, perfect. But the belching contest,
Awesome.
is genius because he rips that long burp and then he does this smile, this self-approving nod,
Like he knows he
He's
killed
like,
it.
Thank you. But
Yeah, it's so subtly
good.
perfect. Everything. I don't
it.
think. And there were so many storylines.
Yeah.
There's so many layers. Everything pays off. Everything's character driven. They
Who wrote that?
I don't know, but they don't know how to write like that anymore.
Nope. Yeah, I thought I was looking at my mom's old douchebag.
But I left that back in Cleveland. How about when they go try to find? Why are you here? Hear about the room front. What do you want?
What do you want? What do you want?
Fuck off. It's so good. It was such
so
a good
good.
movie. Well, I got the old cruise control set at 35. Every character, it's so good.
We got to look that up. Who wrote that? Because that was a time where you could make inappropriate jokes at the expense of gay people or women or
You could
black
make
people.
a joke.
Yeah.
We're so uptight right now where it really is like a form of thought control. I really do
course.
believe it. It's like, you know what? I'm old school liberal. I'm like ACLU 80s style. Like, hey, he's got a right to do it. I don't have to agree with it. He's got a right to say it.
I know.
And when people start policing comedy and humor, that's
Ooh.
really scary.
That's what the communists were doing when my dad was in Hungary growing up.
Your dad grew up in Hungary?
Yeah, both my parents escaped from communist Hungary, and
Oh my
yeah.
God. They're the people now. Like, I worked at a gym in Hollywood where it was all people from Russia, Ukraine, former Soviet bloc. They're like, this country's going down the tubes.
That's what my dad says.
Yeah, they see it. They see the same
yes,
signs.
that's what my dad says. He's like, "This is no good. This is how it was before the Russians."
Yes. That's
Yes.
the hair on my arms is standing. How do we stop this? Making jokes, right?
I guess you got to fight the power, man.
1989, a number, another summer. Welcome to the Terror.
Well, look
Public
at
Enemy,
Lenny.
so
I mean,
good.
look at Lenny Bruce. Like, he was the first one of us to bang down that door, and you know, it's just gonna have to be another Lenny Bruce revival. We're all gonna have to band together and resist. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
bad.
crazy.
Yeah, because when you think about a joke,
Yeah.
there's nothing more altruistic than the intention behind a joke. Where you're like, hey, man, I'm trying to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And you're disagreeing. It's scary.
It's really
Did you really get
scary.
it? Somebody tweet at you saying that it was racially insensitive?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm the victim here.
Right.
You're telling me that a person of color can't be a bully? Where have
Right.
you been?
Well, that for obviously people listening don't know. The story is I grew up in the Valley during this integration program. LA Unified would bus in kids from like South Central, from their gang, and they're essentially a lot of gangbangers that got bused into my
Yeah.
school. And I got into fights a lot with like black girls.
Yeah.
That's just how it was. They used to fuck with me because I was white.
Yep.
And
Were you
and
really a goth, by the way? You
it
said
was,
it?
yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
so great.
hardcore goth. And we fought, and I fought back, but I pushed the fuck back on this girl.
You have to.
And I got her respect, and we were cool. Like, that's the whole point of the story, is that
Marty
if you-
McFly.
yeah,
to
stand
Biff.
up for yourself
Yeah, have to.
instead of this horse shit about, oh, let's try to stop bullying. Good luck, because there's always going to be bullies. You got to learn how to fucking
The
defend
world's
yourself.
not perfect.
No.
I wish it was. I am
never
like one of
gonna
those. I really wish everybody knew that they were loved and lovable and
You're
treated
so
everybody
sweet
great.
with
I really
this.
wish that,
I
but I'm
know.
smart enough to go. That's not how it works. And you know what?
It's not.
There's a certain purpose to bullying. I hate to sound crazy about it, but it's like it gives you that choice. Like,
Right.
hey, I'm either going to stand up or I'm going to take it, which is a huge choice. But then there's also like the worst stuff in my life has always led to the best things. And it's like
Of course.
like, honestly, like if AC/DC were good looking guys and got a lot of chicks, we wouldn't have their music today.
Right.
You know, seriously, like
No,
I think the reason
know.
why so many of those 80s movies were so well written and directed is because those guys didn't have a lot of friends growing up. So they hung out with their nerd friends and made each other laugh and changed the world. Nerds, people,
Yes.
victims become the strong.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like,
Absolutely.
there's a beauty to that too. It's like, do you remember me, bitch? Like, remember there was an
Absolutely.
awesome episode of Happy Days where Fonzie pushed this guy off the swings, and it was Tom Hanks came back as a cameo on Happy Days as a karate expert. It was like the only person that
remember.
beat up Fonzie.
Shut up.
Yeah, he like karate kicked Fonzie through a wall, but then Fonzie used his Fonzie powers and came back, and then they squashed it. But he was the only person to give Fonzie a fight.
Do you know? I mean, I don't know if you've written on many shows before.
No, I want to.
Oh, well, there's this
Hint.
phrase.
I know you guys have a awesome sitcom in the works.
Hold on, the paper's not signed yet, man. Don't announce it. But that's what's called the Fonzie character now. In every sitcom, it's like Kramer.
Yes.
That they didn't expect Fonzie to be that takeoff thing. And didn't he have a spin-off show?
Okay, this is what I remember from Happy Days. Spin-off, Mork and Mindy. Everybody forgets that
Fucking love Mork and Mindy. Best show.
The
One
best.
Of my
When I was a
favorite.
little
Positive
kid.
energy. Talk about positive energy.
Yes, Robin Williams always
Yeah.
at the end what he learned.
Yes.
That's what I want to bring back.
Yes.
I want to bring back that what I learned. I don't care if people make fun of me and call me like a sit. I don't care. I want to bring back that Michael Landon, that Highway to Heaven, the episode where the little homeless kid's got his cat. I'm 7 crying like, can't somebody give this kid the hug he needs? Mork always learning lessons. What happened to art trying to bring out the best in people?
I know. I think because now we're so hosed, there's so much information that the truth is hard to find. The truth is we don't know where it's located anymore.
You're so right.
And that's why there's so many voices that have to break through the bullshit. There's too much bullshit right now. That's why. Because back then when we were kids, there was what? Channels 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. That was your information.
Yeah.
And the newspaper and the
Yeah.
radio. But now it's overwhelming and nobody knows what to believe. You know, I don't even in your Facebook feed, there's all kinds of ridiculous stories. Like, I don't even know what's true. Like,
Yeah. That's so, yes.
why bother? I can't even follow it all. Like,
That's, yeah.
it's so confusing. The
Yeah, and I
world is
don't watch the
confusing.
news anymore. I was like, oh, that's one way to keep myself in a good mood.
Dude,
I don't watch
the news either.
I don't watch the news at all. But then, yeah, you open up social media. Like Twitter's kind of like, I get on that in the morning.
It bums me out.
And I'm like,
I
all right,
can't.
yeah.
I can't look at Twitter until I've had coffee, until I've like gotten in a better place emotionally. Because you will get sabotaged. I'll get sabotaged by those shitty tweets at you, like "fuck you, bitch," this and that, and you're like, oh, I should have waited before I looked at the social media.
Yeah, that's
Dude. Sorry,
what?
but back to before I forget
the
it.
Fonzie character.
No, decorating your locker.
Oh my gosh. You're 2 for 2 with unbelievable callbacks
Really?
right now.
Really?
How did you decorate your locker?
Well,
And explain. I don't even. Do kids still have lockers? They have to have lockers,
I don't
right?
think they do because of security. I think kids carry everything with them now. Oh my god, that's what I've heard. Or isn't it on a laptop or I don't know?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's on a chip in their heads now.
All right.
They just read their
Obey.
own thoughts. Well, fully goth. I mean, it's a lot of Robert Smith, a lot of Joy Division. I didn't start doing that until 7th or 8th grade. So
That's when everything changes,
Yeah.
man. It's like,
yeah, Dark Side of the Force kicks
yeah,
in.
yeah. Like wanting to fit in, wanting to connect, people realizing a sad part of human nature where they're like, oh, I know how to make myself feel better or seem important. I need to poop on somebody else.
Yeah.
We need to start excluding, divide and conquer,
Yeah.
click. Elementary school, I didn't like waking up and going to school,
Mm.
but it was pretty cool. Like I have a whole bit now on homeroom parties, how I love the fact that everybody was invited.
Aww.
Right? Everybody was invited.
Yeah.
And it goes back to all the stuff about moms. And we'll get to that hopefully before the end. Because I think that's the most important job in the world.
Did you guys do this? I don't know if you did this, but in LA, because rainy days were so seldom, you would stay in during recess and play Heads Up, 7-Up.
The best game ever.
Right?
The best game ever. So much fun.
So much fun, dude.
I would do that now.
Me too. Why don't we play that at the Comedy Store?
We should. Duck. Like there is, I think.
Wait, no. Oh, no. Heads Up 7-Up, dude.
It's a different game, but there's a lot of different fun games,
All
is what I'm saying.
Just-
Red
Duck,
light,
Duck,
green
Goose
light.
is- yeah. Red light, green light's rad.
Heads up 7. You put your thumb up, and then you
Yeah.
have to guess. There's 7 people
Yes.
standing at the front. And if you guess who pushed your thumb down,
Stupid.
dude, I was such a moron. It could be like that obvious.
You're so dumb.
Matt, no. Is it Matt? Son of a, like, I would never get it right. And when I did, I felt like I won a game show.
Yeah, but this game, like, you could tell by the pressure and if someone's hand was sweaty. And, like,
I remember doing it so gently so they
Yeah.
wouldn't think, oh, it's the best.
think you're a girl or think, yeah. Or, like, I'd look at their shoes, like, you can't cheat, and, like, you look down.
You cheated playing Heads Up 7-Up?
Well, every now and then, yeah.
You got to win every once in a while. I guess.
Dude, what about test taking time?
The
And you
worst.
put your fucking folders up. Did you put your peachy folders, like, as, like, a barrier?
Wait, were you that nerd who, like, you will not cheat off of
Yes.
me?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, that's so
Your
great.
peachies had to go up, and you'd create, like, a fortress around you. So that
How
people
about
could
summer
cheat.
movies? Do you remember that movie Summer School when they were taking the test and the
Yes!
guy's just going C. So
Mark
good.
Harmon.
The best.
Yeah, what happened to Mark Harmon?
I don't know.
Him and that guy that played Sledgehammer. Remember him? Wasn't he like? Was he Max Headroom?
No, wait, Sledgehammer. I'm thinking of.
That's a different actor. Some white guy, with blonde hair.
So good.
But I think we're forgetting the mother of all.
What?
Top Gun.
Oh, the best. I remember this kid, Mike James, loved that movie so much he wanted to go into the Navy to fly planes. Me and my brothers were like, we watched it. We didn't love it, though. We were like, it's kind of, I'd rather watch Commando, bro.
Commando.
Yeah.
I've seen that a million times, too.
I remember, I have to bring this joke back. You're sparking all these things where I'm like, oh, what? I used to have a joke about my mom was so good at pretending that she was into stuff to get out of stuff. Does that make sense? Like, I remember specifically, like, my dad, us being old enough where he could just take us to the movies, and it was like Predator or something.
Predator.
And my mom had a choice to, like, come to Predator or have the house to herself for 3 hours. And he's like, babe, are you sure? Yeah, I'm not feeling to it. And now I'm like, she just wanted quiet for 3
Yeah.
hours. So I remember my dad coming in the house like a child. Babe, I gotta get in the car. I'm gonna take you to go see this. Look, Arnold did it again. I don't know how he did it, but it's phenomenal. It's a classic.
He has so much money. I was listening to him on Howard Stern.
Mm-hmm.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a billionaire. I mean, he made so many killer movies. He
Killer.
married into the Kennedy family. Like,
He bought Santa Monica up when he was still a bodybuilder.
dude, that guy's unbelievable.
I don't think money makes people happy, though. I think that's the biggest lie.
I think a certain level. You need a certain level to
Absolutely.
have
You
your
got to
needs.
be able to pay your bills. And I definitely
Yeah.
need more than I have. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I need to get to the point where it's like, not every month, like, should I buy a scratch off and see if I can make it?
You don't want to think about money. That's how much money you should have, to where you don't really have to think about it every day.
Yes. But then I think some people, they have so much money, that's all they think about.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
They're like, I don't want to lose it. It's this guy trying to get my money. They become like Scrooge McDuck.
Yep. It gets too much consuming.
It's like right in the middle. You need that balance of everything.
Yeah,
Where you're
I
like,
agree.
You know what? If you make a money, but you live below your means, I think that's
great.
what you're supposed to
Because
do.
I don't like stuff per se. I'm not
No.
a stuff person, but I like the idea of having money in the bank in case I get sick.
Yeah, it's just like when I have food in the fridge.
Yes.
I like walking into my kitchen, and sometimes, like, to cheer myself up, I just go, look at all this delicious food.
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
eat that, and then I'm going to eat that. Wait, I might
Yeah.
eat this, then I might eat that. Or, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll go to Ralph's real fast. I'm going to get some sriracha. So then that way I'm going to put it with it. I put
Yeah.
together combinations of delicious food in my head. I love
Yeah.
if I have to give up comedy, I'm getting a job at the supermarket.
Oh.
Because I love people and I love food, and I go there every day.
I do pretty much too.
It's the greatest,
It's
right?
funny. We were looking at our credit card bill statement,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a forensic detail of my life. It's all like Albertsons, and
It's
like,
so great.
yeah, iTunes, whatever.
Yeah, music
buy
and
a
food.
book, yeah, and like that's so weird. That's all I
So
care about. Food.
what got you? Oh, sorry.
Oh my
What
God,
got you
so loud.
into? Oh,
What's
what-
wrong?
it's my little buddy, the kid I go visit.
You have a buddy?
Yeah, this little kid.
Oh,
Yeah, he's not doing so great.
What's wrong with them? I mean,
No,
unless you don't want to be
yeah,
here.
it's,
Got you.
Really sad.
No worries.
But so as soon as you started to, what's the word? Self-actualize? No, not
Yes.
self-actualize. As soon as you started to, you get in the middle school and you become a goth and you have all this. You have like the
Yes.
depressing locker with all the like
Yep.
pictures of the Cure and
Sex
stuff like
Pistols, punk bands, all that stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that. I remember kids like that because I was a skateboarder in middle school, and that could go one of two
Dude.
directions. There were the kids that
Yeah.
were like into punk rock and like. It was weird. I didn't really understand that kind of music until I hit my quarter life crisis, and then I remember like typing on MySpace like, "Hey man, if I ever made fun of you for listening to this, I apologize," because it just made me feel so much better. I don't know why.
Oh, it's the best.
Sad music sometimes makes you feel good.
Well,
I don't know why.
And punk rock because it's so real and there's so much said in it. I think like I listened to Dead Kennedys. That was my first band when I was like 13.
That was my okay. I remember there was this preacher on TV. He was awesome. I don't know why we loved it so much, but there was this guy named Pastor Gary who explained why
Pastor
heavy
Gary.
metal and punk rock music was tools of the devil.
I love
and
that
we would just
shit.
like watch it and get paranoid. Like because of Pastor Gary, we had Jason Showers burn in our barbecue in the back. We burned a copy of Ozzy Osbourne's Bark at the Moon. So we thought we were going to see demons fly out of it. And like the plastic did make a little noise because it was plastic burning. And my older brother's like, "Oh my God, that's the devil." Because you would hear like, because Pastor Gary said. And then Dead Kennedys were supposed to be really bad.
Well, the Dead Kennedys taught you about subversion. They taught you about politics. They taught you about bullshit. Like the stuff, the 80s were I think we're in another 80s right now. Like a very conformist, materialistic, shopping therapy. And
That's
it's
so
very
sad.
superficial. But what happened after the 80s was the 90s, which was grunge and a little more
more real.
But yeah, dude, that whole thing about like, remember fucking playing records backwards to hear
Yes.
the satanic?
Yeah.
Dude, and Purple
Backwards
Rain,
masking.
there was one on Purple Rain. Remember at the end of...
I'm already getting scared again. Kids would talk about this stuff. We stayed up to midnight. And we played Purple Rain backwards. No.
Yeah.
What was it on Purple Rain? I don't even remember.
It's the end of, I think, the song Purple Rain. At the very, very end, if you play it backwards, but it's not evil. He says the Lord is coming soon. The Lord is coming soon. Like, because he's a pretty... Is he a Jehovah's Witness? I think Prince is. Yeah.
Prince is? Really?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's about Christ. It's not about like...
But I'm sure there's bad stuff then too.
Well, he talks about like girls masturbating. I don't know if you remember Darling Nikki. That was like the first
I remember Prince just had
album.
hot chicks in all of his movies.
Of course, Apollonia,
So hot.
Purple Rain, dude. That was like my sexual awakening movie where you were like, wait
What's
a minute.
happening?
What is... There's a girl topless and it's in a movie? Like...
I feel bad for kids now. The internet's really robbed so much joy of discovery.
Yeah.
Like everything's right there. There was a certain excitement that I don't have, like being like a little boy and you're watching a comedy, an R-rated comedy. You're already having the greatest time of your life. It's as good as life gets. And then they throw boobs on top of it. You're just like, give me the pistol. It's never going to get better. Like seeing boobs in a movie made it so much more fun.
Well, for you guys, for me, it was confusing. Like, wait, the story was fine. Why are there...
Why is this gratuitous?
Yeah, like, wait, why do we have to show her underwear in the scene?
Interesting.
Yeah, it never made sense.
Yeah, it's weird. This conversation comes full circle because it's weird how everything in pop culture influences like gender roles and what you expect of yourself and what.
Yeah.
I
Like,
never thought about that.
I was watching some action film, like, I don't know, fucking Keanu Reeves is doing something, and they pulled a woman out of an elevator that was about to like fall, and it was so gratuitous. Like they pulled her out, and then you just got like a panty shot.
Like why?
And I'm like, wait, that doesn't add to the story. Like, why do I have? And even with Revenge of the Nerds, like, there's so many gratuitous tits in that.
Absolutely.
And it always made me feel weird as a kid. Like, wait, why do I have to see tits right now?
Yeah, there's no reason for it.
It was so much fun. And then
You just
tits.
blew my mind. What did you just say? There's no reason for it, right?
Yeah,
the
it's
story works
gratuitous.
without it.
Yeah, doesn't serve any purpose.
I'm thinking of that. Okay, so when I get insecure on stage, it's the only time I curse.
Oh,
Like
me
I
too.
feel like,
I curse too much.
yeah, I don't need it.
I don't need it either, but it's a habit. It's a tick.
Like if it's a great crowd and I'm at ease, I don't need to do it. You know what? Because it doesn't help.
No.
You know what? Yes. Thank you.
No. Can I bring up another very important
Everything
issue?
you want. This is yours. I'm talking too much. I had coffee.
No,
For listeners, I apologize. I drive down here. I did it the same thing on your podcast. I feel terrible.
No,
I
you
grabbed a
didn't.
Red Bull before, and then I get chatty.
This is perfect. I love it. Okay. Slurpees
The greatest.
versus ices.
Oh, that's tough.
Suck on those nuts.
Well, the greatest thing about ices was that they were available at snack bars in stores I did not want to be. So I have a bit now about how little kids are gangsters, and we would shake my mom down for things. Like we would use like intimidation. What's the word? Where it's we would extort my mom. Like, you want me to behave? We're gonna get a jawbreaker and an icy. And she'd be like, no. And then I remember grabbing my little brother, and we would just hide. I used to play hide and go seek with my mom without her knowing we were playing, because I used to love to hear the panic in her voice. Steven! Marky! And then I knew it was time to come out from our hiding spot when we would get paged on the intercom. With Steven and Mark Simeone, please report to their mother. She's at the
dicks.
snack bar. And I'm like, we're getting snacks, bro. Dicks. Little kid. I know.
You threw your mom into a panic, dude.
Often. It came back to me full circle. My nephew did that to me once.
And you freaked.
Freaked.
I'd choke the fuck out of my kid if he does that to me. I mean, he's gonna. He's gonna think it's the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah, he is.
And you're like,
One of the best things I saw was on the beach when I was living in Santa Monica. Everything's perfect. And I see these two ladies off in the distance and these little guys. They're like 3 or 4 sprinting full speed away from their moms.
oh my God.
And like they have that little wall along the beach. It's like, I don't know, 2 feet high. 3. These little kids hop over the wall and then they just duck down. And I'm like, what's going on? And the little kid looks at me and he goes, we're hiding from our mommies. And he loved it.
Dicks.
He loved it. And they could see where they were. They just thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Kind of is to fuck with your parents, because it's
Yeah.
like a form of power as a kid, because you have so little power as a
Interesting.
child that I think it's your one way of revenge of like, fuck you, I'm in control of this right now. I'm going to hide. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you excited to be a mom?
Yeah, I am actually. I'm really ready. I'm.
You're going to be the best mom ever.
Oh, thanks.
You really are.
I hope so.
You and Tom.
I'm
That's
ready.
so cool to have. It's like, reminds me of like Ben Stiller. You know what I mean? His parents were comedians.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? Like, your kids are going to be so cool.
I hope. I mean, I don't know. If my kid's like, I want to be a comedian, I don't know how. You know.
Will
I
you
can't
feel like
say
you
no.
did your job or did not do your job if your kids say they want to be a comedian?
You know, honestly, because the reason I'm a comic is for dark shit.
Yes.
It came from bad things. It didn't come from joy. So I don't know. My husband's a comic because he came from a good family and he just likes to make people laugh. But
Yes.
I would feel like it was some kind of a failure. Yeah, because at least for me, my motives are totally dark and weird, and so. But he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And
Right.
am I to tell my kid? You know, I don't care as long as he's healthy
Happy.
and not a sociopath or a killer or hooked on drugs or whatever. Just lead any kind of productive life. That's all I ask.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just be productive, dude. Just give to the world. Give back.
That's awesome.
Right? Isn't that all you can hope for with people?
Yeah.
Just don't be a douchebag.
It just, yeah.
Don't be fucking mean and shitty to people.
It's that simple, right?
Yeah, don't be a douche.
How much time we've been talking for? Oh my God.
What?
Flew by. We're almost at an hour already.
Oh my God.
Flies by.
Can I tell you, I love talking about this childhood shit.
It's fun, right?
So much fun. Dude, wait, the ultimate
Yep.
slip and slide.
Oh, yeah.
How much fun was that fucking thing?
How did people not snap themselves in half?
We did. You would like land on sprinklers and break your back and eat grass.
Okay.
So dangerous.
The difference between being a child and an adult in terms of recovery time, back in July, I got very excited over a burrito. I'm not making this up. Very excited over a burrito. I slipped off the curb, just a 4-inch curb, and my ankle twisted just enough that was the weekend after the 4th of July, and we're now in October, and I'm just able to start doing cardio again. But a slip and slide, like you slide into somebody's driveway, you're one scab from your tootsies up to your neck.
Yeah. Dude, you would run on a lawn, full speed, like you're standing running, and then you would somehow plop down on your belly onto hard grass.
I'd break my neck right now.
And then,
it was like the NFL combines. Like everybody's ready to go. Whew.
Yeah.
I've definitely, a theme that's constantly come up in this podcast, which leads me to believe that guardian angels are 100% real, and they have to work overtime with kids.
Yeah.
There's so many instances where there's no way, just your everyday thing as a kid. There's no, how do you survive that?
I don't know. Just riding your bicycle. Like, I think back to how reckless we all were.
With little kid brains?
We used to ride our bikes in like the LA Wash. Like, you know, in Greece where they race their cars.
Oh my God, you're the coolest child.
It was, oh my God. But that's where we would play, like in a dangerous ass wash.
Yeah,
And
the diseases floating around there.
And like, how do we not
Hobos with rusty knives.
Yeah, and not get kidnapped or stolen. I mean, now kids can't run the streets. It's so they arrest
sad.
you if you let your kid even walk to the park alone.
Yeah, that's true. That's not an exaggeration.
No, I know.
You can't even have a lemonade stand anymore. What happened to this country?
You can't have a lemonade stand?
No.
Why?
There are different townships that are legitimately writing tickets and fines for operating businesses without proper licensing.
Business. Your quarter cup of bullshit.
Unbelievable.
Were you in the Boy Scouts? Did you do that? I could see you liking that.
No, I'm not good at fitting in with stuff. But it's funny. Everybody says I'm a Boy Scout now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally a Boy Scout now.
Yeah.
But I hated
That's your next album cover, dude.
What's that?
That's your next album cover.
Boy Scout?
Yeah.
I hated anybody telling me what to do. Like, I was like, when I was a little kid, I was a gangster. I was like, oh, yeah, is that what you want me to do? How about you? Go fuck yourself. Even if it was something I wanted to do.
See, that is so funny because you have two layers to you. You know that. Like, you are this happy and it's great. And then you have this undercurrent of like, go fuck your mother.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I dig deeper, and then that's where the real good stuff is.
Yeah.
Like on the surface, I'm like, okay, this is my choice. I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to choose to be kind. I'm going to choose. And then the level below that, I'm like, oh, don't make me do this. And then the level below that, it's just like, hey, man, God's real. We're here to be a source of his love and joy and acceptance for everybody. And that's where I pulled myself out of my darkness, was tapping into that. Mm-hmm. And when I tap into that, everything's cool. But when I get to that second level of my pure humanity, where I'm like, this isn't fair, and I start to get fear and doubt, and it's not a good place to be, but I'm able to recognize it now.
That's huge.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay, look what you're doing. Get back into the moment. Now, hear this.
Well, plus it's your triggers, your childhood shit that's being activated.
For sure.
Know? And you like something. Oh, like that guy tweeting me, like it activated some kink from childhood thing. It's not even like, I don't. At the end of the day, it's fine. I don't care what people, you can have an opinion about what I say. Like, I don't. Big deal. But yeah, it activates your brain, and then your brain goes off, and you're like, oh.
And then you're like, wait, why am I giving this stranger I've never met this much power to rob me of the joy of being alive?
Yeah, what is wrong with
Step back from all of it, and you're like, what? This is all a miracle. We're floating on some planet around some star.
Dude.
And it's like, I'm going to let some sad people try to make everybody feel bad. It's that simple.
Well, and can I tell you what I've discovered? Like, do you realize that there's a woman that grew you and that grew everybody? Everyone has to be gestated by another person.
Yes.
And it starts as 2 cells. And then I have to sit here for 9 months, and I don't mind it. It's been great. But like, the absolute improbability of your existence to begin with, and the fact that you survived out of billions and billions of sperm and of countless eggs, and that your mother was successfully gestated you, and then you were successfully birthed.
Yes.
That alone.
Miracle.
Fucking miraculous.
Miracles.
So much shit can go wrong every day with this. Like, I could trip, fall down the stairs. There goes my
Miracles.
baby. Yeah.
I don't know. We started to talk about this. I don't think we were recording. But I remember being on stage 2 years ago, maybe 3 now, at the Comedy Store the night before Mother's Day. And I remember like one year I was out here And I forgot about Mother's Day. I know that's terrible, but I was working so much. I was so poor. I had so many terrible minimum wage jobs.
She don't
And I was-
blame you.
and I
She
was-
don't blame you.
I
She
was
loves
just
you.
but I was like, oh my God, it's Mother's Day. So I didn't have money to send anything, but I got the phone call in. And then now, years later, I'm on stage at the Comedy Store. I'm like, there might be somebody out there in the crowd tonight that forgot tomorrow's Mother's Day. Or I was like, what if there's people that did remember it's Mother's Day and they brought their mom to a comedy show? Nobody thanked moms in the crowd. Nobody. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to do that because it's Mother's Day. And I remember when I did that, like I did it in the middle of my set, I lost half the room. And I'm like, what's happened to society when we don't appreciate moms?
Yeah.
Like I was saying 15, 20 years ago, if you were like, give it up for moms, would have been the most patronizing, easy comedy. And now it's countercultural. It's subversive where you're like, because I think we're just such a selfish society. People don't want to ever say, I needed this person in my life. And they never want to live for somebody else. And I really, getting back to your whole
That's
concept of
interesting.
miracle, if your mother was just the person that brought you into this world, if there was just a woman that gave birth to you and she lived on top of a mountain and the only thing she did was give you life, let alone shape who you are and care for you and make sure you survived. But just the person that brought you into this world, if that was their only job, you should have the desire and the sense of responsibility to travel around the world like Mecca, to climb a mountaintop and go thank that person for
At
giving
least-
you this chance to be alive.
At least once in your life, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is such a crazy sacrifice. And I don't think we should be leading things as far as no offense to the men, the white guys that control the world, but it's like, wait a minute. I fucking created you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, my body created the white man. What the
Everything.
fuck am I doing in second place? Like,
Everything.
yeah, dude, without me, and I understand I need a sperm, yeah. But come on, let's be real. The bulk of this shit gets done by the women. And it's hard. You suffer for 9 months. It's not like an easy
All of it.
task.
Like, I think
Yeah.
if
Jesus.
that's why I think society's in trouble because we don't appreciate moms the way we used to.
Well, a lot of that too. That is one of the flaws of the women's movement. Is that the thing of not respecting the stay-at-home mom? There's a. Did you? I don't know if you know this, but in the mom world, there's a rift between working moms and stay-at-home moms.
I had no idea.
I know. I'm just learning about it now.
Yeah.
Like I'm really not into it yet, but there's a huge rift, and the stay-at-home moms resent the working moms. The working moms, I don't know how they feel about the stay-at-home moms, but yeah, because of that, and stay-at-home moms are seen as not, I guess, contributing to society because they don't bring home an income. But it's so dumb
So dumb.
because they're raising humans. Like
It's
you're
the most-
raising
The
people.
reason why everybody's a jerk right
Yeah.
now is because they don't have anybody raise them.
Nobody's.
They
doing
don't know
that.
right from wrong, and they don't feel loved. They don't feel worthy of love. Like, I think a mom's job is,
Well, and a dad's too.
yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, not just
But
on mom.
look,
Jesus Christ.
it's a team effort. It has to
Gotta
be.
be.
Has to be.
But that's what I'm saying. The pendulum hasn't swung now, so the working mom suffers.
Oh, God.
The pendulum needs to go to where mom and dad do equal, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, raising the kid.
Absolutely.
Why am I the only one that has to take a hit and stay home?
Right.
Like my husband's gonna be taking down maternity leave to be with me.
That's awesome.
because we can, because we work for ourselves and we can.
Thank God.
And yeah, and it wasn't like it was a very rational thing. Like, wait, why wouldn't a man want to be there for the first 2 months of that baby's life?
Yeah.
Like,
To bond and connect
Yeah.
and be like, what's cooler than a baby?
yeah, and your baby. And if
That's
you don't
insane.
if you don't do it, that kid grows up to be a fucking psycho lunatic and be
It's
a bad
so
person.
true. When I see people that sacrificed family time for money, those kids always have problems. And look,
Always.
and I'm saying I know most people don't have that decision, sadly. Like, people have to work and they have to pay bills.
Absolutely.
But it's like, I feel bad that there's no, like, where's the affordable housing where, like, you
Right.
can just be like, hey, there's just millionaires now and everybody else. And it sucks. There's no more middle class. But I see these kids that grew up with nannies and they got BMWs when they're 17.
yeah.
And they're the saddest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
And those wounds never get repaired.
No, there's no replacement for mom and dad.
No,
unfortunately.
there's not.
And by the way, that's not to say that everyone can and should be able to take off 2 months.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like you can't, and I'm aware of that. That my
Absolutely,
husband and I are in
reality.
a unique position. Like,
Yeah, you're blessed.
believe me, yeah, I'm very thankful that our careers ended up this way. That I can, but like, I don't know, how do women do it? How do you have a baby and then immediately have to go back? It's terrible.
Terrible.
Or even the poor women that have to stand on their feet while they're pregnant. Like,
It's unbelievable.
How do you wait tables 8 months pregnant?
I don't
It's
know.
so hard. It's got to be so hard.
Whenever I see a pregnant woman or a mom with a little baby, I'm like, I get a little nervous, to be honest. And I'm like, whatever I can do to help. Like, I saw a mom the other day with a baby trying to get the baby into the car. And I'm like, how can I help? And she was like, oh my God.
Oh,
And she told me to thank my mom. She was like, tell your mother she did a good job. And I was like, yeah, whatever I can do to help.
You guys were so sweet at Ari's taping. Like,
Oh.
you and Brett, you guys like, can I help you? Do you want a plate of fruit? Do you want anything?
Yeah.
You guys are so protective. It was really sweet.
So, how everybody should be.
I know.
I think soon as we all realize that we're all connected.
I know.
My favorite quote that I've been thinking about over and over again that makes me feel better was Mother Teresa, and I'm paraphrasing Mother Teresa, and she said, the biggest problem facing society today is that we forgot that we belong to each other.
Mm.
And I'm like, yep.
Mm-hmm. And there's only one of us here, really.
Yeah.
We're all made of the same stardust, dude.
Yeah,
We're
it's
the
so
same
true.
shit. Just different
wrong with
forms,
people?
different
Yes.
blobs. There's no difference.
No,
You and I go through the same crap.
same stuff.
I know. Except you're a white guy. That's pretty great.
You would think. You really would think.
You're like top of the food chain, bro. That's pretty
Yeah, you
great.
would think.
You could be president and stuff.
Not at my height. Nobody would ever take me seriously. Nobody's ever going to take a man of my stature
Next
seriously.
lifetime. Next
Yeah.
lifetime.
All right. I don't want to take up any more of
No,
your
thanks.
time.
Thank you for having me.
This was the best. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming down here. I
What are
appreciate it.
the two podcasts that you're on, and where can people find them?
Well, Your Mom's House I do with my husband Tom Segura.
One of the funniest guys ever.
He's the best.
He is so funny.
I love him.
He's doing another Netflix special, right?
Yeah. He taped it, and then we don't know when it's going to release, but look out for that.
Did he like how it came out?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Course. He was so stoked, and he filmed this little short in front of it that's going to be awesome too. So
Oh, so cool.
yeah, so keep an eye
I
out.
love the short in front of the stand-up
Yeah,
specials. What
yeah.
happened to that? Dice had a great
Yeah.
one. Eddie Murphy had a great one.
Yeah, they all do.
The
And
classics.
he wanted to. I don't know. Probably shouldn't be talking about.
Yeah,
it, but-
don't. Save the surprise.
Yeah, and then That's Deep Bro, which is the thing I do by myself. And Steve Simone's been a guest, and we discuss happiness.
Yeah, that was
If
great.
you want to hear Steve's episode, check out That's Deep Bro.
This
on
was the
iTunes.
best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dude, killed it. You know what I just realized? What a great name for a website. Christina's website.
Oh yeah.
It's just thousandsranch.com.
I think it's her two favorite salad dressings or something.
Yeah, that's hysterical. Dude, her and Tom are so cool.
They're gonna be cool parents.
The coolest parents.
I'm sure they won't, but I just imagine them like, what if they suddenly had the kid and now they're really like uptight people, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Not at all. Dude, they're such cool people that it makes me want to have a baby so then they could be friends with their baby.
Oh yeah.
That'd be so fun. Plus, I was hanging out with Renazizi and the boys on Sunday.
How was that?
It's the most fun there is in life. But you know what? I don't beat myself up for it because I remember I left Philly 15 years ago because I couldn't find a chick that like wanted to be treated right. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh God, these girls all like want awful dudes. So I was like, you know what? It's not going to happen. So at least try to go be a comedian. But it's like being a comedian's great, but just hanging out with family, that's the most fun you can have.
Right.
Like his kids Renazizi's kids are in the glory years. They're so much fun to hang out with. We were playing this game called Gooey Louie,
What's that?
where you have to pick boogies out of this guy's nose.
Like a human's nose? Or like is it
Gooey
like a
Louie's
toy?
nose. It's a toy.
Oh, I thought it was like a trick. Like you just had to go up to like different people's at the house and just
No, Lee. No, you wanted to pick people. You can pick your friends, and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. I remember when Dan Canalen said that. I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
What grade was that?
I don't know. I was way not. It wasn't like second grade. It was like 10th grade. I've never matured.
What's the point of maturing?
I don't know. Well, I will say this. I have matured. Like, I'm all about, like, handling my business and living for other people. And I think that's what a man does. You know what I mean? Like, you go, this is what I want, but this is what serves the greater good. And your job as a man is to serve the greater good. Mm-hmm. But I'm not, like, a miserable grown-up. Like, I like to have fun.
Who doesn't like to have fun?
Plenty of people.
That's so sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Like, I had to beat up a couple audiences at the Comedy Store this weekend. Where I'm
really?
like, why do you come out if you don't want to have fun? I was like, you're missing the whole point of life. And then, like, I'm starting to write all these bits about that. Because what it is, in my opinion, people are profoundly scared.
Of what?
Life. Being vulnerable. Connecting. Acting like they enjoy themselves. Like, you'll see people just, everybody's miserable. They all have the tough guy face on. They're profoundly selfish. They don't hold the door open for people. They don't say please. They don't say thank you. They don't engage with other people. And now that behavior's creeping in the comedy clubs where people are like, you can't make me laugh, bro. And I'm like, I don't want to.
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? But it's sad. You know, the people that need the hug the most are the ones that deserve it the least. You know what I'm saying?
Was it the same way when you started, or do you think it's new?
No, it's new. People are getting sadder. That's why we need to focus on the good times and have more laughs and be nicer to each other.
And eat ice cream.
Have you thought about the question I asked you?
Yeah. And I've had a lot of people, like, professionally and like, who've had impact. But if I had to pick one person, I'm going to say my mom. Because I was lucky enough to have a stay-at-home mom for the majority of my life. And
yeah,
I would have to say that the majority of, like, the way I was raised and the beliefs that I have are from my mom. I mean, we don't agree on everything. Like, when I walked in, we were on the phone and she was telling me something, and you could just see that my blood pressure was rising just because there's no one like a mom to do that to you. But
for sure.
Like the way I try to treat people and the way that she taught me to just even do my homework in school.
Yeah.
It's just...
You know what? I always come back to that as a reference point where I'm like, there's two types of people in the world. There's people that did their homework, and there's people that didn't.
Ooh, yeah.
I really believe that, man.
I was both at different points in my life.
Man, I see people where I'm like, you got nobody to blame but yourself. I hate to break it to people, but life's hard. And if you don't have the life that you want, start making changes because it's nobody else's fault.
Right. No, yeah. But then it's also like, how could, if like I was lucky enough that my mom was there. If my mom wasn't there.
Yeah, but that's my point. They're the people that don't have the point is the world's not going to help.
Right.
You know, maybe you had a great mom and maybe somebody didn't. Maybe somebody grew up with nothing. But it's like, if you want your life to change, sadly, you have to be the one that does it.
That's a really frustrating part.
Oh, it's so frustrating. And it's like, I see the interconnection between everybody. I try my best to help everybody and be as loving and as understanding, as compassionate, as helpful. Like, I don't really have a lot of tangible life skills, but one thing I can help is comics or people that want to do something comedic. So if they want to be a stand-up or they want to write. So I'm like, send me your questions. Like, all these young kids come up to me at the Comedy Store all the time. I get emails all the time from people who are like, I'm thinking about my first open mic. That I can do. I can help. But I tell them, I go, it's going to be a lot of work. I'm here to help, but ultimately it's going to come down to you.
And it's hard, especially the people I grew up with were very well off. Like a lot of people in my town.
Sure.
So then I'll go on Facebook and I'll see people getting jobs that I know for, like, I look back and I remember them calling me for homework answers or them not doing homework.
Oh, yeah.
And then I see them driving.
Yeah, what you're saying is the
BMW,
game's fixed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge... Yeah, I remember...
It is fixed a little bit.
Yeah, I remember I was a Dean's List student in college. I was National Marketing Honor Society,
Really?
all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. And I got 1C my senior year that kept me out of being a Phi Beta Kappa or whatever that is. But I didn't try. I just wanted to learn. As soon as I stopped focusing on grades and just focused on paying attention and going to class, that's when I got all A's and a few B's.
Oh,
And,
really?
yeah. It was weird. It was interesting. It was like a little paradigm shift. But I remember like being in my senior year and I'm like, this is how naive I was. I was like, all the hot chicks, I hate to say it, got jobs right away. Like
yeah.
in January, they got jobs. And we were graduating in May. And they're like, I have all these offers. And I'm like, wait, what? I don't even have job interviews. How do you have offers? And then all the kids whose parents can make a phone call.
Yeah.
And that's still how the world works, by and large. But it's like, hey, it is what it is.
I'm hopeful.
Work hard, never give up.
Do you think like the parents who make the phone call, if the kids do a bad job, do you think they still move forward, or do you think they'll get that first job and then it goes south?
No. It's like the beginning of Rushmore. Do you remember Bill Murray's speech? It was like most of you here were born rich, and you're going to die rich. That whole thing about.
I have to watch that again.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. But that's not the point. Like that's the other thing too. Like what are we talking about now? You're talking about kids driving BMWs. Who cares what you drive or where you live? It all comes down to how you treat other people and how happy you are.
Right.
And then that's all decisions that are all within our control. And I guess maybe that's what I was saying when I say if you don't like your life, that's your decision. You can make decisions. Even when everything sucks, you could go, I could let this break me. Or I could go, I have a choice to not let this affect me. I have a choice. We're always presented with a choice. Even when somebody's stinky, and like today, I was on the phone with Bank of America. It was bad.
Uh-oh.
I just never recommend flying American Airlines, and it's amazing how everybody's sending me stuff. Like somebody sent me a video today of them kicking somebody off a plane that didn't even deserve to be off the plane. You hear everybody booing on the plane. They're like, "This is terrible. I'm never flying American Airlines again." Boo, boo.
Oh no.
Yeah, like some awful flight attendant. Because what happens is companies treat their employees like crap. And then the employees treat you like crap. That's just how it works, man.
Yeah.
That's why I avoid, like, I'm flying back to Philly on United. I have not, like, I'm sure there will be times where I'm forced to fly American when I'm not paying for the ticket or something else. But number one, they're not the best price. I can find a comparable price and not have to put up with them.
Right.
It's such an awful experience. And today I was on the phone with Bank of America, and first up, you have to do all your own customer service.
Yeah.
You know, and I was trying to figure out their online app. I have an app on my phone, and the option I needed wasn't there. So I'm like, now I have to they put me on hold. Then they have me press all these buttons with a computer. I'm not talking to anybody. And I'm like, so frustrating, right? Because I'm just trying to be a customer. They used to have customer service. Now I have the app and I have to be my own customer service person. Fine. Then I call you and you have a computer asking me the same question. I did not hear you.
Oh, I pressed zero.
Yeah, I kept on doing it. I was like, operator. And then finally, we appreciate your time and patience. I'm like, no, you don't. Because you never have enough people. So then they finally connect me to somebody that doesn't speak English.
Right.
And I'm like, excuse me? What? I go, sir, are you speaking English? Yeah, haha, yes, I am here. I assist you. You need, and I'm like, and then I had a choice. And my choice was to start laughing. I was like, sir, is there anybody in your general vicinity that speaks English as a first language? Of course, sir. And then I was like, sir, I'm not trying to I'm not being rude. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I go, I can't understand anything you're saying. Where am I calling? And then when he knew I was cool and I was in a good mood, he was like, I'm in Mexico. I go, dude, I applaud you. Your English is good. I just can't understand it. We're not going to accomplish anything.
Right. And then if you tried to go to the bank, it'd be a 45-minute wait to an hour wait.
Right. So then I just was like, all right. And then I finally got a customer service person on the phone that was cool, that in English told me how to solve the problem myself. Like, that's how bad customer service has gotten. Like, where they're not going to do it for you. But they're just like, now you need to go to our website and not your app.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
So my point is we always have a choice.
Thank you so much for all your help.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
Well, we care.
Yeah,
care.
for sure. Yep.
And I think that's what makes the difference.
That is what makes the difference.
And people like Ink Adco care.
Yep. Good small
Freakware.
business. Yeah. Like, I need to get more stickers printed up. I got to call the guys over at Ink Adco. Because it's like, get somebody on the phone. They'll resolve the problem. They'll try to make it work. And there's something, I support small businesses whenever I can.
There are some good bigger business. I'm trying to think of a bigger business that I've enjoyed, that I've had a good experience.
I've heard
with recently.
Costco is really good to their employees.
They are. I've heard that too. Like they give them like $15 an hour.
Yeah, living wage, great benefits, a lot of upward mobility. They reward hard work.
Actually, I have sort of a good one and kind of a negative one. I took an Uber home the other night, and it was like 2:30 in the morning. I had just done a podcast, so I was tired. I was like, all right, I'm just
Is
gonna
that when you did after school special drugs?
Yes. So I was like, I just want to be safe. It's 2 in the morning. I'm just going to take an Uber home. I get in the car, and the guy's watching TV while he's driving.
Oh, not cool.
And I wasn't. For a second, I thought he was just listening to like a podcast sort of thing. Because I ended up sitting behind him.
Yeah.
And I looked around, and he had a phone mounted on the dashboard watching something on Netflix.
Yeah.
And I was just too. I should have said something, and I didn't. But I will give it up to Uber. I emailed them as soon as I got home, and within 5 minutes they had refunded it to me and sent an apology letter. So they're not always the best, but I appreciated that.
You have to speak up. You have to. Like, that's one of the things. Like, I'm the sweetest guy ever.
Yeah.
But I have a real problem where I feel like if I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, where
Right.
I'm like, oh, wrong. You're wrong here.
Or your
then
safety. Yeah.
And then I get a little aggressive.
Which is hard, especially because I think we're similar, where we try to be nice to everybody. And
Sure.
You
'Cause
can-
everybody's fighting a hard fight. But there's two types of people in the world. There's people in the world that when you treat them great, they're going to go, oh my God, you know what? You're an awesome person. I'm going to treat you even better than you're treating me, or at the very least, appreciate your kindness.
right.
Like we can use a metaphor for a restaurant. Like if you're the nicest customer in there, look, I understand you have and some waitresses are like, oh my God, you're a sweetheart, whatever. And they work harder for you. They get it. And they're like, you know what? I'm just going to refill that. And they start, then there's other people that are like, oh, this idiot doesn't have a spine. They mistake it for weakness. And then they don't come over to your table. And then it's like, oh, that's where you're wrong. So now I'm trying to build my life, surrounding myself with the people that appreciate me and appreciate kindness. And it's the same with my fans. It's the same thing with comedy. Like if you're if you come to the Comedy Store and you just want to do coke and talk about what nightclubs you get into, you're a douchebag. I don't want you coming back to my shows. So I'm glad you don't get what I'm trying to do. I'm like, there's comedians for you. Just go to, somebody that's just going to make fun of everything and tell you what's wrong with the world. Cool. But if you're somebody that's like, hey man, I need to be reminded that there's good things in the world. Thank you for making me laugh. I'll do it. Like I handed out more stickers this weekend. I gave away a couple of free T-shirts because there were so many awesome people
Yeah.
juxtaposed to the really stinky, selfish people. So I just focus on the awesome.
Well, that's a great way to live life. It's hard. It's hard sometimes, but I know I'm trying to do it. I know a lot of people listening are trying to do it, and I
It's
think
the choice. Remind yourself. I guess I don't know. I firmly believe we're having this talk for a reason. So, because somebody out there probably needs to hear it. Just be reminded that you always have a choice.
I think this time of year is hard for people. It's getting towards the end of the year. You see bills are starting to come up, and then you start thinking about vacations. Like Paul and I want to go away for a few days in December, and I can't afford like a plane ticket right now.
Yeah.
Like we were looking at doing a couple things, and then between plane tickets and then hotels,
everything's expensive,
for 3
man.
days, I can't afford to spend $1,000.
I don't blame you.
I don't have it. And I got a little bit down. But then now we're looking at things within driving distance, and there's even cooler things for less money.
Awesome.
That it just...
Yeah, there's so many cool things. Like, you could go up to...
I think we might go to Big Bear and rent a cabin.
Go to Big Bear, go to Malibu for the day.
Yeah.
Go to the Angeles National Forest. There's all kinds of cool stuff. There's a mission 10 minutes from my house where Bob Hope's laid to rest, the San Fernando Mission. It's the most beautiful, peaceful park setting. And I'm like, this is 10 minutes from my house?
Really?
It's so cool.
It is nice going. I walked around North Hollywood Park a couple times yesterday.
Yeah.
because I wanted to take a day off.
Dude,
from
when
the
was the
gym.
last time you did Fryman or Runyon?
I've never done those.
Oh, I'm going to hike with Autistic Thunder on Friday if you want to come.
I'm gone Friday. Would you do it every Friday?
I think, you know what? Maybe I will. Maybe that'll start being the thing.
That could be really fun. And which one, Fryman or Runyon?
Fryman, because it's less crowded. Maybe we
Okay.
could start having a buddy
Let's
meetup
do
hike.
it. I'm totally down.
Guys, we just came across something awesome. We're going to start doing a buddy meetup hike, and then maybe we could bring peanut butter and jellies or something and have afterwards.
Orange slices in the big
Yes, yes. I will bring orange slices and water, but we're not going to do the first one until Lee can do it, and we'll give you a 2 weeks heads up.
Yeah, so this will come out Sunday. Yeah, so a week, next Friday. It should be.
Okay, you want to just do that?
I'm down.
And we'll tweet it out.
Yeah.
Even if it's just me, you, and Joshua, it'll be awesome.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure some people will come. It'll be great.
See, I'm already in a good mood.
There's nothing better than... I'm not even a big fruit person, but cold orange slices...
Dude, and just hanging out with your friends, getting some fresh air. It'll be awesome. All right, Lee, I love you. Thank you for hanging out with me on Good Times. All you guys listening, thank you so much for hanging out. Call your mom this week. Tell her that you appreciate her. That was the most influential person in Lee's life, and Christina's going to be the best mom ever, and it's just a special thing to be. So thank God for moms. Thank God for you guys listening and friends. Take care. God bless and have a great week.
Yesterday was such an easy game for you to play. But then let's face it, things are easier today. Yes, you need some freedom.